Be a man that raises the table for everybody in everything you do. Well, that's a lot. Yes, it is, and you're a man, and you can do it. You can do all things. Nothing's impossible. You can do way more than you think you can. You got to challenge yourself to a higher level of expectations, a higher standard.
Welcome back to the Man Maker Show. We are dedicated to helping men become stronger and more intentional leaders because the fight in every man's life is real and you were created to overcome. We know that hard times make better men, and through adversity, we find our inner warrior. Thanks for showing up and opening your mind in order to make your future greater than your past. Here's your host, Brad Walgamot.
Welcome back to the Man Maker Show. Hope you're doing incredible. Bradley Wolgamott coming to you from another fantastic episode. I hope you're living an epic life. I hope you are on fire. If you're not, I hope to be the match. I want to set you on fire. Life is too good. It's too incredible. There's too much to be done. There's too many golf courses to play, rivers to fish, mountains to climb, people to love, places to hang out, photos to take. Oh, why do people feel so committed to being miserable? I have a friend of mine, and his famous word is, why? Why life is so good? And in reality, I know life can be life can be hard, life can be full of all kinds of challenges, but it doesn't do any good to give it power, right? It doesn't do any good to give it authority. It doesn't do any good to act in a way that makes the misery bigger than it needs to be, or to share it like some kind of a infection and you pass it on. Like, I want other people to feel as miserable as I am. And what that basically leads me to is where we're at today with social media. It just seems like social media has become the place to air your laundry, to fight your fights, to do your comparisons, and it's just become a nightmare. In fact, frankly, I would really blame it on the smartphone as much as I would social media, because I can remember in the early 2000s when smartphones kind of started happening, and it was a thing called texting. Now, clearly, guys, there was a time before email and there was a time before texting, but I remember texting was like this new powerful device where I could communicate with so many people so rapidly and get so much more done in a short period of time. It was a powerful tool, and it was designed to expedite relationships, but what it's become this wedge. It's become this place we fight. It's become this place where we attack. It's become this place where we assault. It's become this place where we hurt. It's just brutal. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some experiences I've had lately. Maybe you'll relate to them, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll see something in yourself as I talk about these things. But I really want to challenge you to look at the phone a little bit differently, okay? I want you to look at the phone, your smartphone, as a tool, all right? That which it is. And anything outside of being a tool should be eliminated, right? I wouldn't use it as entertainment unless you have so much time in your hands you can be entertained. You'd be better off reading a book. You'd be better off studying something. And if you're using your phone to study things, that's a different scenario. But I'm talking about entertainment, when you're just surfing with your thumb, aimlessly playing the comparison game or looking at bigger idiots than you are and fails and people that do stupid things. And can you be the first one to show your friend, oh, watch this one, oh my God. How do I know this? Because I've done all this. But I've seen it a couple times this year, but it was such a blaring thing, I felt like I needed to talk about it. And it started off with a conversation I had with Chosen, or my youngest daughter, not long ago. And I said, Johnny, can I ask you a question? I said, am I on my phone too much? He goes, oh, yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I don't know. It was like, oh, yeah. I'm like, whoa, really? What do you mean? Well, Dad, you're on your phone a lot. I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. And what I'm really realizing is I'm dealing with her perception, right? Now, obviously, it's true to her. It may or may not be true to me, but I had to look at that as honest feedback. And what I realized is that if I'm with her and I'm on my phone, then my phone is more important than her. A simple mathematics for a child, when clearly that's not true. 100% the case, not the truth. But if I'm sitting next to her and I'm on my phone, then the phone's more important than connecting with her. And I've seen this play out now in a couple of experiences I've had. I'll share with you because they were so painful for me to be a part of. I felt like I need to share them. And one of them was I had a guy with me on a fishing trip recently. And, we had a couple guys in the boat. We were having an amazing time catching king salmon. It was awesome. And this guy was on his phone the whole time. And I kind of got to a point where, we're on a fishing trip in this remote river catching these epic salmon, beautiful mountain cliffs, river went right up these cliffs, 1,500-foot cliffs. You couldn't be in a more beautiful spot, sunny weather, 85 degrees. And I'm like, dude, why are you on your phone? He missed 4 bites on the rods because he's looking at his phone. We had to get up and throw him on the rod to reel to get it. And I'm like, what are you doing on your phone? He goes, I'm just answering questions. I'm like, okay, so your justification, in my mind I'm saying, because I'm trying to be polite now, because I really like this guy, and he's going through a hard time, so I'm trying to be very patient. I'm like, so in your mind, your justification for being on the phone and missing all this opportunity here is that you're answering those questions. You're saying that those questions are more important than what's going on right here in this boat. The connections. My son was there. The opportunity to have a deep connection with someone that I love dearly, to build a connection with me, to ask questions, to have some exchange, to go back and forth. He was more connected to other people. And I don't know who all the other people were. Maybe it was, his girlfriend or kids or buddies or whatever. But I want to challenge all of you to make the environment that you're sitting in a priority over the one you're not. To me, that is simple mathematics. Simple concept of my present environment is more important than my exterior. It's more important unless there's tragedy, unless there's disaster, unless there's something really life-altering happen. When it's just basic conversation, why are you allowing yourself to be engaged in conversations that are external when you can be right here that are very personal? A, it's insulting to the person that you're with. B, it's very disconcerting and it's disrespectful and oftentimes very hurtful. But you know who pays the greatest price? The person on the phone. Because they never get the deep connection. They never really enjoy the environment. They really never get to absorb the fullness, the richness of being in this situation. And I would tease and tease and tease, and he wouldn't catch the clue, and eventually the day was over and he was still on his phone, and I was shocked. And in fact, the parting words were, hey man, thanks for the great time. I'm at the airport. In other words, there was no real deep change that happened in this person's soul. And if this person happens to be listening to this podcast, which is kind of likely, but maybe unlikely, but sorry, bro. You know who you are. But I think a lot of us do this. I had a guy tell me once, he says, the only problem taking you out on fishing trips is you're on your phone too much. I'm like, whoa. So I've been guilty of it too. Now, I think phone too much for me is different each person. Like I might have checked my messages from my wife or my daughter, 4 or 5 times in an 8-hour day or something. For him, who never touches his phone at all, that's too much. So it's all relative, but I think we need to be aware of this. And don't allow yourself to be trapped into this, what they call it, open loop syndrome, where you feel like you have to answer every question, right? When I get done with my personal environment, I open my phone up and there's 20 messages. Well, it's going to take me some time. But I'm not going to go back and forth with someone that's not there when I could be going back and forth with someone that is there. It is frustrating to see even people that I love, close to me, my family, that they're on their phone and they're doing all this connection, whether it be work or personal, and they're asking me nothing. And yet they're going back and forth with whomever they're talking to on their phones all day, and yet they really never ask a creative question about me or my life or my wife or my kids or my health, but they are clearly engaged in conversation inside. And I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly. I'm just trying to give you some perspective that if I was you, I would honor the relationship that you're in presently, where you are, and make it known that that's of great value, and don't be drug off. I was on a fishing trip recently up in Alaska, and I got permission from this young family to talk about this, so I'm gonna come on pretty hard here. But I told them I was gonna do it. I asked them, and they said yes, and so kind of told them, kind of asked them, but they said it's okay. So we were in Alaska on this remote trip, and I mean it was remote, like bears and all kinds of wildlife. We had to take a boat across the river each day, across a raging river, and we had to hike downstream a couple miles to this bear-infested area, and we were fishing for sockeye. You couldn't get much more remote without just being completely 1,000,000% off-grid. It was fun, scary, dangerous, exciting, exhilarating, and very productive. And we caught a ton of fish, and it was amazing. But as the day would come to an end, we'd hike out, take the boat across, get in our rig, drive back to our cabin in the woods, and it was a matter of seconds, if not minutes, when they got back on Wi-Fi. First question when they arrived, of course, what's the Wi-Fi password? Unfortunately, there was a Wi-Fi password, and they jumped on the phones. It couldn't have been 2 minutes. And the three kids scattered to the three corners. We were in a one-room cabin, so there was a bunk room and an eating room and a kitchen, all kind of in one big square. And they went scattered. Some threw blankets over their heads. They had more privacy. Some people just hid in the corner, put their PJs on, and got on their phones and stayed on their phones for hours and hours and hours. Well, the dad and I would then clean the fish, process it all, get the tackle set, retie flies, get everything set for the next day, find a way to get some food, feed the kids, and then it'd be time to go to bed. And there'd be this glow coming from each of their areas, and it's pitch dark. And I'm like, all right, time. Whoop, toop. Everybody's attention. Put your phones down real quick. Everybody, put your phones down. What the frick are you doing? What do you mean? Why are you on your phones? We just had the most incredible day anybody could ever imagine. Bears and eagles and salmon and hiking, remote Alaska, awesome cabin with your pops, with your dad, one of your dad's best friends. We're having some. What are you doing? And the responses started coming back, and I'm mad, but I'm really curious. Like, what's going on here? And the first question that came back is, well, what are we supposed to be doing? And in other words, they had a complete scintoma. They had a complete blind spot that creating conversation is a real thing. They feel that when someone's not entertaining them, they go to another device that will then entertain them. That if you're not going to be taking me through the woods and the jungle and catching fish and doing all those things, then I'm going to go to another place that's going to entertain me, and that's going to be my phone. And I'm going to laugh and giggle and show this and talk to my friends. As compared to, hey, Uncle Brad, hey, so-and-so, hey, Dad, how about that fish, that one that got away? Oh, my gosh, did you see that? Or how about that reel that fell apart? Or how about when you almost fell in? Or can you believe we got two at one time? Or how about the net? Or you guys hiked down there and you got lost and went up in the woods and you could have got eaten by bears. And oh, my God, it was so scary. And how about that crazy person? And how about this? None of that. It was on the phones, off to La La Land. And they're like, well, what are we supposed to do? I said, well, first of all, how about celebrating the many, many moments of the day? Oh, yeah, okay, that's cool. And they would try, and I watch them, like, they're like, okay, Uncle Brad, okay, I get this. All right, cool. I hear your rant. Okay, we're going to try this. And they would try, and one person would say something, and then this person would be on their phone. And then this person would say something, and this person would be on the phone. And I got to the revelation that if they weren't being talked to, that was their opportunity to disconnect from the conversation and just get on their phone. And then I would say, hey, so-and-so, what do you think of that? And they go, huh? What? What do you think about what they just said? And they go, oh, I didn't hear it. Exactly my point. You're so busy talking to people that aren't here that you miss the conversation with someone that is here. Do you see the brokenness? And I'm like, what has happened to you guys? And I began to kind of unravel this, and I realized that, unfortunately, the dad also spends a lot of time on the phone in their presence. In fact, many times when we were back at the cabin, all four of them would be on the phones. It was like, okay, big day, that was cool, settle down, whoop, and everybody gets on their phone. And and I walk out and I got done cleaning up or I took a shower and I'm like, what in the frick is going on here? It's no wonder there isn't a closeness that's required to deal with life challenges. Because if you don't take an opportunity to build closeness when there isn't chaos, when there is chaos, you're going to have a real problem. Real problem. So it was kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do? Well, what are we going to talk about? And I said, well, why don't you Ask me a question. You don't know me. Where am I from? How many kids do I have? Where did I go to school? What's my greatest fear? What's my greatest achievement? Right? Where am I going? I mean, I don't need you to ask me questions, but there's a start. Let me ask you questions. And I want all of you to stay off your phones and listen. Because what I started noticing was the second son had a really challenged self-image. And he is the funniest, neatest guy. I talk to him all the time now. We have a really cool relationship. I have all kinds of nicknames for him. But his self-image is a little bit beat up. And I realized it's because he feels invisible. Now, I don't know if he's ever said this. It's my opinion. But I watched everybody around him not pay attention to him, kind of blow him off when he was being goofy. And they were always on their phone, so he had to be extreme to get their attention. So he got this message that he doesn't matter. Because no one's going to ask me about my life. No one's going to ask me what's going on in my classes. No one's going to ask me about where I'm going. No one's going to ask me about my dreams. No one's asking me my fears, my concerns. They're all in their own world talking to people that aren't there. So the problem with this culture of phone addiction is that people get the message, they don't matter. My buddy in the boat, you know what my message was? You don't really care about me. You're just here so I can entertain you, catch you some fish. You can take some pictures, send them home to your friends, show everybody what a good time you had, and then hopefully I can bring you back and we can do this again so I can entertain you again. But there was no give and take. You became a consumer on the trip. These kids were 100% consumers, and when I wasn't entertaining them, they were going to consume from someone else out on social media. We did an episode last year called Consumers and Contributors. I encourage you to listen to it. You should be absolutely dedicated to being a contributor, not a consumer. If people think of you as a consumer, you have lost it. It is a fail in life if you are not contributing. The biggest problem in our world is there's too many takers and not enough givers. The reason our government votes predominantly Democrat and why people tend to vote that is because the Democrats are claiming to be the ones that give you more. So I'm going to vote for the person that contributes to me because I'm a consumer. What I'm looking to vote with is who gives me the opportunity to contribute more, who gives me free enterprise, give me the opportunity to be a capitalist, to advance, to contribute, to make the world better. I'm not going to vote with who can give me more. I'm going to vote with those that give me the opportunity to give more, serve more, be more, impact more, to change my life's trajectory by choices I make. And the problem with the social media world, and again, I'm not trying to be an old man ranting on phones because that's how you might take me, but the reality is that people are not learning to be focused on dedicating themselves to being a contributor, asking, digging questions, and it's impacting their self-image. It's impacting their social skills. These kids are great kids, but their social skills, struggle. They don't know how to look you in the eye. They don't know how to be complimentary. They barely know how to say thank you. And these are great kids. I'm telling you, I love these three kids. I want to be an uncle dad to them. They are really good kids. But somewhere in this whole program, they've got lost. And I found out, again, I'm going to take a chance here because I might get back to this person, but their mom is watching Netflix all the time. Like when they're on the phone with her, she's watching a movie on Netflix. They say that even when she's driving, she's watching Netflix, which to me is out of my mind. But what they're telling me is that their mom feels that movie watching on Netflix is more important than the phone call, the conversation, what's going on around them. So whenever they're with their mom, they just check out, get on their phones, and do what mom does or do what they want to do because mom has set this standard. And to me, that is an absolute tragic disaster. Because I'm going to promise you, you're never going to make a living consuming social media. You'd be lucky if you could ever make a living contributing on social media. And your chances are 1 in a million there. But you're certainly never going to make any money consuming. So it creates a low self-image. It creates crappy social skills. It sends the message to people around you that you don't matter. And I watch these kids that had self-images like they don't matter because they've never been prioritized. That's a real issue. Then you look at the real ugly part of it, and this is the obvious one, but that's toxic content. I mean, how much absolute crap and the way that AI works and the way the algorithms study what you click on, whether you swipe it in 2 seconds or 1 second or half a second or 5 seconds, and the longer you stay on something, the more it builds stuff to give you that dopamine hit. Oh, there's more of what I like. Oh, there's more of what I like. And then it takes you to even worse points where you're into really, really ugly stuff. You're into really controversial stuff. And then eventually you can even end up on the dark web, or you can end up on, these guys told me that there was a site that I hate to even say it on here, but it was about male private parts. The whole site. Like, everything went to that, and it was pictures. And they asked questions, and there was a picture, and I was like, are you serious? And they actually logged, like, oh, see, oh. I'm like, oh my God, that's real? I mean, there's such a deviant depravity that's available at the click. That's why my daughter will not get a phone until she's well into 15, 16. She might get a watch that she can text me or call me or mom, but outside of that, oh, hell no. I am not going to let the media bias confirm her into some kind of whatever their basic overall goal is. So this whole phone thing has got us jacked up to a point where now there is no normal life. Like, normal life is boring. Like the second day, one of the kids didn't go down to the river. Like, oh, I'm just going to stay back. I'm like, so you'd rather be on your phone or walk around here than go down and experience something epic on the river? This is where social media has wrecked people to a point where an awesome day is boring compared to swipe, 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 swipe. You can go through 1,000 experiences, 100 experiences a day if you just keep swiping. You can see cliff jumping and people surfing and people getting attacked by sharks and people jumping off of cliffs and people riding bikes and people. You can consume all. It's like, oh my gosh, what a day I had because I saw all this, and yet you didn't do jack. And so real life becomes boring as compared to all this crap that they can consume that they think is real, which in reality is all just a theatrical production or someone's greatest moment that they lived, but now you only watch. I think the other concern we have with the social media world is what I'll just call fake caring. Like, you know how easy it is to say like, right? I have a pet peeve if I send someone a really nice message and I get a heart. It bugs me. It bugs me that I could take the time to say something really nice or kind, and the least you can do is click on a button with a fake heart. It bugs me. Now, maybe it shouldn't bug me, and I got to get over it. I need to grow up. I know. However, I think it's insensitive and a bit rude to not communicate with people, to show appreciation, to take the time to say, wow, thank you very much. Right? I have a pastor in my life that I love dearly as a brother, and he's an incredible man, an incredible pastor, father, husband. I love him to pieces. And I can't help but send him a message every week after hearing him speak. I'm like, bro, you just blow my mind. And he's like half my age. I'm just so proud of you. I'm so impressed. I'm so inspired. And I always get this nice, deep, thought out welcome. And I don't send the message to get the response back. I send it because I really genuinely am grateful to be able to call him friend. But I value the fact that he gets the importance of communication back, because that's such an important part of a world versus just thumbs up. Because what happens, oh, you got 84 likes. What does that mean? 84 people. You got 5,000 likes. You got 6,000 shares. What does that mean? It means nothing. In all reality, it's some kind of an algorithm of measurement. And if you get a lot of likes, if I get 1,000 shares of this video, then I get boosted to a higher level of recognition in the YouTube world. Like, who gives a frick? And I guess that's the nature. If you do podcasts like this to make money, which that is not in remotely my interest. I do enough already. I'm well enough financially. This is not my goal. But that is for a lot of people, and that's their intent. I'm not judging that if that's their deal. My point is, it's so easy to just share a like, and so we can get numb, right, to someone sharing something. And just do like, I can remember Shelly and I made a video of a really cool trip we were on, and we had some friends over at our house, and we like, hey, watch this video of our trip, and they got about 20 seconds and like, oh, that's really awesome, and they handed the phone back like it was a Facebook reel of 20 seconds. It was like a 3-minute video, and we're like, weird. And later we talked about it, like, that's just reality. The attention span of most people is so short, they're not going to watch a 3-minute video. Are you kidding me? That's like listening to a full song. What? No, I gotta keep the stem going. And so it creates this, you don't matter, I don't care, how fast can we change gears, a like, a share, a thank, a compliment. None of it's real, none of it's genuine. So when you get real compliments, you don't even know what to do with them. And that's a problem. And then you have people that really work hard at connecting, and you have the creepers that want to date you or connect with you or heist you. I don't know about you, but my phone gets hammered when I don't know where in the world this happened. But I mean, I get messages all the time. I mean, like 30 a day from the Republican Party, 50 a day from the Democratic Party, 30 a day from people that are like, hey, is this Jim? Like, no, it's Brad. Oh, sorry, wrong number. Well, what do you do? It's so irritating that it's creating this horrible society of everybody's fake, nobody matters, leave me alone, I'm not going to connect. And I think that's a disaster. Let's fix it. Let's make connection a priority. Let's get off the social media addiction. If you use social media to share with family and friends cool things, great. To encourage people, great. But get off the swiping, get off the addiction, get off the entertainment. My opinion. Let's love each other. Let's connect deeply. When we say something, let's mean it. Don't just put a heart or a like. Actually send a message and say, thank you, that was cool, I appreciate that. Doesn't take that much. And we make the world a better place because we're saying, you matter. And you want to be a man? Then be a man that cares. Be a man that makes everyone around you better. Be a man that raises the table for everybody in everything you do. Well, that's a lot. Yes, it is, and you're a man, and you can do it. You can do all things. Nothing's impossible. You can do way more than you think you can. You got to challenge yourself to a higher level of expectations, a higher standard. There's nothing you can't do. Make a determination to walk into the room and be a thermostat, not a thermometer. Walk in there and change the room. Don't be changed by the room. Be the influencer versus being influenced. Be the contributor versus the consumer. Look at social media, if you're going to, as an opportunity to add value, not a place to be valued. If you're going to get value from fake friends, you're going to have no confidence in any of your relationships, and that would be a sad day and a lonely day for all of us. So, be present, connect, be aware of who you're communicating with, and let the world know that they matter. Get off your damn phone and share with people and make them understand that you see them, you value them, and you want to know what's going on behind the curtains. Suicide is at an all-time high, and the number one thing I hear is nobody cared. That is the tip of the iceberg of the problem with an overindulgent smartphone addiction. Let's get over the top. Let's connect. Bradley Wogelmont, Man Maker Show, out. I challenge you.